Hello, my name is Becky Smith. I'm the DSU Campus Administrator for Digital Measures, which is our faculty ePortfolio system. As a full-time faculty member at Dixie State University, you will need to have an ePortfolio account. This is an online software application where faculty keeps a record of activities, documentation for your teaching, evidence, and exhibits, basically your DSU career. It is required of all full-time faculty, and it is used in all formal processes for evaluation, whether that be a 3-year probationary review, a tenure review, any type of review. This is the tool that will be used for those reviews. You will find it under www.dixie.edu, Faculty and Staff tab, then Faculty and Staff Resources, and then DM ePortfolio. So let's go on over to a browser and walk through. Digital Measures is not browser specific, so whatever browser you're most comfortable with is the one that you want to use. So we're going to start by going to, again, Dixie's homepage, and then you're going to choose Faculty and Staff. And under Faculty and Staff Resources, you're going to find DM ePortfolio. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm sure that you already have your username and password. If you do not already have that information, send me an email at bsmith@dixie.edu. I will need your 8-digit faculty ID, your full legal name as it appears on the records at DSU, the department that hired you, your title upon hire, and your email username. Once you've sent that to me, I can create for you an account, and then you'll be able to use that to log in. Now my screen's going to look just slightly different from yours because I am the administrator, but you're going to come into a Manage Your Activities screen, which will look almost exactly or similar to what you're seeing here. We're not going to go through each and every item as we work our way through, but we will be reviewing those most important items. One of the nice things about Digital Measures is that once you learn how to use a particular screen, it's going to be easy for you to continue to use those screens because they all work the same. You're going to start by entering your personal and contact information. This includes your office number, your phone numbers, where you're located, your birth date, all that kind of fun stuff. You don't need to put a biography in here. You can see that it's required in a very limited way. But this is not a page that will be pulled into any kind of reports. You can also store a photograph if you choose to do so. Anything you enter in any of the given screens that we work with, you must click on Save and Return. If you choose Return Only, anything that you've entered into the screen new is going to disappear. So we're simply going to return to the main menu, and then we're going to look at the next item, which is the Philosophy Statement and Guide to My ePortfolio. This is an optional item. Some faculty wanted to be able to enter a philosophy statement to be read by those who do the review. And it's also helpful if you want to include basically a pathway through your ePortfolio guiding a reviewer or someone to the access that they would need if they're looking for particular items on your behalf. All you need to do to add these two things is to indicate the academic year that you're putting this up for. Your philosophy of teaching can be entered here. This is, you can type quite a bit into this small box. You can also use the guide and summary to my ePortfolio, or you may choose to create these in a Word document, save them as a PDF file, and then upload that file. So you could do a philosophy of teaching as a stored file. You can also add another file, so your guide and summary to your ePortfolio could actually be a separate file. So again, here you can enter information of a small nature into these two boxes, or create and upload files. While we're here at this point, as a general rule, you need to turn any of your files into PDFs before uploading the file. There will be multiple people reviewing these down the road, and they may be on Apple platforms, PC platforms. They may not have the software loaded on their computer that you created the document in, and so their computer won't open those files. If you choose to upload only PDF documents, or in the case of your evaluations, an HTML file, which means it's an internet file and will open into any browser, then one would never have a problem in being able to open your files. So just keep that in mind as a general rule. Okay, we're going to leave that particular page and go to permanent data. Your permanent data, the beginning of that has already been entered. Your starting rank, when you started, these for most of you would be empty fields. I've been here long enough that I've got a few items of information in here. I don't maintain a full portfolio because I'm no longer a faculty member, but it will be up to you beyond this first entry to go ahead and update each time you would attain a different rank. So when you become an assistant, an associate, a professor, your tenure year, your separation date, of course, is the date that you would leave Dixie. Hopefully that's for retirement. But it basically includes the time you leave Dixie as a full-time instructor for whatever reason. We would maintain your portfolio here for historical data reports. You would not be deleted upon your leaving at Dixie State. So your permanent data is there, and one thing I forgot to mention, if there is something wrong in any one of those fields, it is certainly your choice to make sure that that is correct. Your yearly data will be entered by you year by year by year. You'll see that the 2014-15 year has been added. That is not something that you can add yourself. Each year about August, I enter the new year, and it simply copies for everyone the 2013-14 year in this case, but the year before will be replicated in the current year. At that point, then you would need to edit, and if your rank has changed, something you were awarded tenure, that type of thing, you will want to make those changes then in these categories. But if you have had no changes in the meantime, you don't need to even edit this particular year. You will see here in mine, but for most of you would not appear, the AACSB information that is required for that business certification. So we can enter national organizations as a part of an ePortfolio so that it will keep track of information for that accreditation, as in the AACSB. So only those faculty with a School of Business affiliation would have these particular questions. At the end of each year, you are responsible for certain evaluations. There is a self-evaluation. That's just an evaluation that you prepare on yourself. You basically look back over the year and identify your strengths and weaknesses and some goals that you have for the upcoming year. It is a good idea to review and use your student evaluations and peer and supervisor evaluations in making your own self-evaluation. But that is required of every faculty every year. Supervisor evaluations are required of a new faculty member once a year. And so you will have a supervisor come in, and actually, I think for the first year, again, don't trust my memory. You would go into policy and see how often that should be done. Your supervisor, that would be your department chair or your dean, depending on the processes in your particular school, that would come in and actually do an evaluation of you in class. And so that supervisor evaluation needs to be uploaded. If there is one done for both semesters, then you could go ahead and scan those in as a single file and then store that file. Same with a peer exchange. There is a peer exchange form, which includes basically a sign-off that someone from your department or a peer has evaluated your teaching, and there is no official or formal rubric under which that's done. Hopefully, as you do a peer exchange, it will include some exchange of ideas. I think most supervisors, all supervisors and peers, look at this as an opportunity really not to evaluate the teacher, but to look for and get ideas of their own. When you look at yours, you're not going to see the school. That is only on my side, and you've been attached to that. But you will see a division. It's actually not a division at our school. It, in essence, is a department or a program. And then, of course, we do have the departments. What you may see is that the division and the department are identical. Again, it is up to you to make sure these items are accurate. If you have any other academic, government, military, and professional positions, they go here. So if you're coming to us from another institution, you will enter that information. You simply add a new item, and then your experience from the drop-down list. What was the organization? What was your title, rank, and position, etc. So you just go ahead and fill in the blanks. You can see that this does not require a lot of information, but it does require some. When we get to administrative assignments, that would be for those of you who have assignments that are non-faculty assignments. You might be a department chair, you might be a director, you might be a supervisor, you might be an associate dean. Whatever that administrative assignment is, you will enter into this category, and there are several positions for us. Again, dean, associate dean, department chair, director, coordinator. What is your workload in credits? That is, I skipped scope. Is it for the department, the division, or the school? And so for mine, it looks like I need to do an update. So I would be a dean of a school, and it is not applicable on the workload credits because it's 100%. And then there would be a time when you started that, and leave the end date open-ended if you are currently still serving in that position. If you've added, you're going to save and return, and then that would appear in your list. As we move on down the line, awards and honors are those items that you have received in the past that were awarded to you, and this can be both in the community as well as an institution, and this can also apply to your experience prior to Dixie State. So although scheduled teaching administrative assignments pertain to your DSU experience, for a lot of these items it can include part of your past history or career as well. Validation exhibits are those items that are different. Let me scroll down. Teaching evidence and exhibits are going to be those things from your teaching. They might be student work, it might be sample tests, sample assignments, samples of how you grade. That goes under teaching evidence and exhibits. But under validation exhibits goes those other items that are going to validate your professionalism. So it might be a letter of recommendation. It might be a thank you letter from a particular student. It might be I'm sorry, I've just drawn a blank here. But those are the most common things that can be put in here. Probably, if you don't know where else to put it, it can go under validation exhibits. If you do any outside consulting, it can be placed here. Your education certainly is going to go here, and that would be the history of your degrees that you have and where they came from. And when you add that new item, very simple to put in. We have a list of degrees from which to choose, and you should be able to find your particular degree in the list that we've provided. If it's not, you can choose other, and you can explain what that other degree is. At this point, When you choose other, you can certainly email. We can have different degrees added to that particular list. But if your degree is somewhat unusual and probably the only time it would ever be a degree that would come into this campus, certainly other is a good option for that. Your institution, where it was located, self-explanatory. Just move your way down for each of the institutions where you have experience. Then as you move down to your external connections and partnerships, those are just places, associations that you have that are included in the categories of speaker, field trip, funding, recruitment, those items that you do on behalf of the university but are included in these particular categories with the information that is listed there. And then, and again, that might be something where you might have a certificate or some type of document that you might want to load into validation exhibits and make that connection between the two, as in any one of these others. Faculty development activities, conferences, workshops, anything you do for faculty development. It can even be an in-house example. So as we have opened the Lunch and Learn series for the Center of Teaching and Learning Excellence, those kinds of items can be included here. So you can see that that would fall under a workshop item, and then you could put in Center for Lunch and Learn. Sponsoring organization is DSU, CTLE, and St. George, etc. So this can be in-house or outside kinds of activities that are categorized as faculty development. Do you have any licensures or certifications that need to be listed? Do you have media contributions? Have you published an article in the newspaper? Now keep in mind that these media contributions are not intellectual, I'm using the phrase wrong, professional journals. If you write for the professional journals in your field, that would not be included here. This is more those external. The Spectrum comes in and wants to do a story on a project that you're doing in your department, or with undergraduate research in your department. That's what we're talking about in media contributions. And you see that you can actually upload a copy of that file, whatever that would be. Again, scanning those files in as PDFs and uploading those PDF files. Professional memberships are included here, and then workload information for everyone needs to be entered on a year-by-year basis. So if you look at workload, we'll just look at this workload to edit. What this is during the academic year, what percentage of your workload was faculty, and so normally you're going to put 100% is a teaching workload. But let's say that you are going to, out of 15 credits, you're going to be given a 3-credit workload to be a department chair, for example. So you would put 20% of your workload is administrative and 80% of your workload is going to be teaching. Service workload, that might be something like an assessment coordinator. So as an assessment coordinator, you might get 1.5 credits, and you would have to calculate that out of 12 credits, which is a full-time load. So 12 credits is full-time. So if you're teaching 12 credits each semester, it would be 100%. And then whatever credit hours you're released to do service or administrative would then be broken down. And then if you teach an overload class or classes during the year, that is input strictly as the credit hours. That is not a percent, that is over and above your 100% workload. So you would enter that on the year basis, not on a semester basis. So that would be your workload. And now we're ready to move to your teaching section. Under academic advising, that probably is going to be very limited. Most of us do not have an assignment to do a certain number of students, but you could enter here that I'm over 10 particular students. How many hours per year do I spend, and what is that description of that? That could be for those of you in upper division who are working with students in that final year capacity, various examples of that. If you are a faculty member who is on a committee right now, that would not be in-house, but if you serve on a committee from your alumni institution, for example, and you serve on a graduate committee for someone, that would be what goes in here. So you would indicate where you are in terms of involvement as a chair or as a member of these various committees, and other is an option as well. Who is the student that you're working with? How many, if there are more than one student, if there is more than one student, you can enter multiple students. What is the student's home departments, etc. So you just go ahead and fill that up. Fill that out. If there is a document to be uploaded, again, you can store that document and then click on multiple documents or add multiple documents. What date did you start and what date was that completed? So again, that is for right now, probably for your activity at another institution, but eventually, of course, it will be here for Dixie. Your non-credit instruction taught would be those items that you do not teach for any type of credit. So it might be a certification, continuing ed, faculty internship, etc. as you work down the list. All right, it would be a non-credit instruction. So for example, we do some ACT prep classes here through community education and our conferences and workshops. And so if you were teaching that particular workshop, let's say the English portion of that workshop, then that would be something that does not bear credit, but that is instruction, and it can be academic or professional with a description, and perhaps again store a file and what day or dates did you participate in that non-credit instruction taught. Then we'll go down to your scheduled teaching. Your scheduled teaching is a list of your official classes with a certain amount of information included that is right from Banner. The term and the year of the class, what is the course's name, the course prefix and course number, what was the section number, what was the official enrollment, how many credit hours. Down to that point, I tried to upload a report from the institution that will pull in your schedule on a semester by semester basis, but I don't do that until there is no opportunity for students to still drop the class. Once those are uploaded, you would then go ahead and determine whether or identify whether that's a lower division or an upper division class. What is the delivery mode for those classes? Is it a new course prep for this semester? Yes or no? Is it a new format for an existing course? You might have taken a face-to-face class and turned it into a blended class, where part of the class instruction is online and part of it is face-to-face, or you've turned it into totally online. In that case, it's going to be a new format for this semester. Again, we're talking about the class in a given semester. You can put some brief explanations of any pedagogical innovations, new teaching materials that you used. For instance, you might have incorporated the polling feature in Canvas with students' smartphones this semester to see if that would work. You might describe that here. Have you done any kinds of activities in your course that enhance the student learning? Have you tried to do more engaging activities and get more student participation? You will need to store your syllabus each semester for that, for the courses. And when you click on your store file, which again, we've not done that before, but it's always the same when you go through the process. You could go through your and browse for those files. And let's see if I can find one here. Again, on a syllabus, just like any of your files, do not upload the application-specific file, but make sure you have a PDF, portable document format file, and that's the one that you want to upload into your portfolio. This is what it will look like as you upload the file. This is what the file will look like after you have saved and come back in. This is an evaluation, and I'm going to walk through in just a minute for you how to look up those evaluations when you receive that email. But again, the file will look like this as you've uploaded it. And then as we scroll to the bottom and we click on Save, then when we come back into that class, then you will see that the file now becomes a downloadable file. So whoever is viewing this particular item can click on Download, and it will open with PDF. Again, it's not looking for anything platform specific, and then they would be able to read and view that particular file. Let's talk about student evaluations for just a moment. Student evaluations are done by students online and are accessed through their DMail student email accounts. About 2/3 of the way through the semester, you will receive an email from the DSU Online Course Survey Manager that notifies you that student evaluations are now available. It is helpful if you will announce to your students that those are available and that they should go to their DMail accounts and fill out their evaluations. Students that do their evaluations get access to their final grades a week earlier than those students who don't. That's just a type of incentive for students to go out and use those evaluations. Again, student evaluations really should be looked at as a positive tool for us to see how the majority of our students feel. Just a personal note here, I always throw out the highest, I always throw out the lowest, and go with what the majority of the class wants me to know. I always do look at those students who are dissatisfied and try to address any problems that are not just a personality conflict between myself and the student. But again, you don't have to have 100% perfect evaluations to really use them as an effective tool. At the end, the students have until a week after finals in order to complete those evaluations, and you will not have access to those evaluations until a week after you've posted your grades. So then you will get another email that says your course evaluation results are available. What I do is I create an evaluation folder in my Outlook so that immediately when that evaluation comes, I can go ahead and move it into that folder so that I can get back to it at the point that I want to actually download and put those evaluations into my course. You get, if you scroll down in the particular email that you receive, it will give you a listing of the evaluations that are available for you. As a new teacher, you will have student evaluations done every semester. I think it is for the first 3 years. If you are a faculty member who has been here longer than that, there is a regular schedule. After 3 years, I think it's just once a year, and then I'm not sure what the breakdown is further down. Your administrative assistants in your schools are the ones that will determine whether or not you have an evaluation. So if it's not your turn and you didn't require one, you may not get this particular email. You do have the option, though, of always getting the student evaluations. They're only there for you to see, and your dean has access to those as well. But that is just something that is not available to anyone but you. You'll get a list, and then you'll also get a login link, and you will get a username and password that is unique to you. So when you go ahead and click on login, it will take you to this website. Once you have this website up, you can certainly mark it as a favorite so that you can come back to it, but you will need to keep track of your unique username and password in order to get in. Once you get in, it will actually keep student evaluations up through the last 3 years. So you can see that this is now timed out, so it doesn't show those immediate spring semester student evaluations. So I'm going to click here to view past reports. Once I do that, I can look here and see a standard report. I can enter a year. I can enter a certain semester. It says it's closed, but that doesn't mean it's not accessible to me. So I'm going to look for my spring 2014 surveys from the business department. Now, you will not see anyone's information but your own. But because I have access as a supervisor to some others, you will see that I do have access to those evaluations. But here are two of my own. I don't teach much anymore, but I do keep a little online keyboarding class for which you can see the information is here. Going back to the top of that screen, please note that this is the responses received, the responses that could be expected because that's how many were enrolled, what percentage did the student evaluations, and whether or not I want to include that in my report. So I'm simply going to scroll down to my own. If I can find that again. And I want to include this one in my report. I can include multiples, but I'm just going to include one. I'm going to scroll back to the top and I'm going to click on View Report. That will render into a separate window. Make sure that your browser allows pop-ups because this is a pop-up. If your pop-ups are blocked, you will never get this report. Once this report pops up, then you will need to go to your file and save it. Now, if you do not have in your browser an active menu bar, you will want to be sure before you try to retrieve anything that you have turned that menu bar on, or it will not appear here. You will not be able to save. All right, I have a separate PDF converter. I don't want you to think that you will all see this particular line because it's not there. But for mine, I can convert this particular document from a web page to a PDF. So I have that ability. But for most of you, you would go to File and Save As, and this would be one time that you could go ahead and use the HTML option. The first time it will probably come up as a complete web page, but if you just save it as the HTML only, it doesn't take quite as much room. When you save, make sure that you're saving with the file name, with the department and course number, the section number, and the semester that you're saving it to. And I have a particular evaluation folder on my computer, and I always save those evaluations to that folder. I'm simply going to put this one on my desktop so that I can pull it in here in a few minutes to show you how to upload those. But I'm going to identify the file by its course number and section and the semester, change it to a web page HTML only, and then go ahead and click on Save. Your other option would be to print this off and then using a copy machine scan it in as a PDF, and then you would have it saved as a PDF. So again, an HTML file, as this one will become, is also accessible from multiple platforms. So now that I have those saved, and I can now go ahead and leave my course eval site. And I'm going to do that with just clicking on that little lock and tell it that I want to log off. And then I go back to my ePortfolio. And I'm here at this point where I'm ready to upload those particular evaluations. In this case, I'm just going to add another evaluation. Why would you need to do more than one? You might have a cross-referenced course. For example, if you have a few students in concurrent enrollment, they will appear in a separate section of your course. So you might have evaluations from section 1 and additional evaluations from section 1V. So I'm going to click on Store File. I'm going to browse for that file. I'm going to go to the desktop. And I'm going to locate that file that I just saved. And that's going to be right there. And then again, as in the other example, as soon as I save and return that file will now show up like these do. And then for me to be able to look at that, I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to leave the page. It's going to open it in Internet Explorer in this case, and there is my survey. Okay, so that is how to retrieve and upload your student evaluations. So you will have an evaluation and a syllabus for each of your sections. Now, if you don't have an evaluation for a particular semester, those would remain blank. So again, once I'm finished, I can save and return, and I will go back to the main menu. So then that's your scheduled teaching with your syllabi and your student evaluations. Then your teaching evidence and exhibits can be multiples. They can include test samples. They can include an assignment sample. They can include some of your students' best work and how you graded that work. So what you're looking at here is just the ability to show off how you do your teaching. What is the title of this exhibit? It could be a test sample. It could be a grading example. Whatever you want that to be. Put in a brief description of what that is. You can and then you would upload a particular file, again, that has been scanned in as a PDF. Enter the date of that particular item, and then you could go ahead and save that item. A little hint here is that if you will do these types of uploads on a regular basis and as they occur, you won't be faced with June of next year trying to remember and upload and document everything you've done through the whole year. So again, just as you get a really great example, pull that into your ePortfolio at the time that it's occurring in your class. All right, that basically encompasses teaching then. This next section has to do with scholarship and research, and there's multiple categories. Intellectual contributions is what I was trying to remember a little bit ago when we were up here on media contributions. The difference in intellectual contribution would be not just that Spectrum article, but it would be contributions to your professional associations. So it can be a book chapter, it can be a journal, it can be cited research. Instructor's manual is a good example. Those are the categories that you have here, and you can see there are dozens of options. And then of course there's always the other. Then you would go ahead and finish filling in the blanks. Who else you were associated with. It might be a joint venture with someone else, either from our institution or from somewhere else. It might be a joint venture with a student, but you fill in this information for these intellectual contributions. Any of these categories then can be done the same way. I don't need to go through each one of these individually with you. And so if you have any questions on what fits, certainly feel free to contact me. The last category is that of service. Service can be done in many different areas. It can be done for the university, for your department, division, or school. It can be professional service, and it can be public service. Regardless of what the service is, put them in the right categories, but they're all filled in the same. What was the committee that you participated in? What was your role in that particular it doesn't always have to be a committee. That was just occurred to me. But whatever the activity name was. If it was other, you're going to explain that. How many hours did you spend here this year? Were you elected or appointed? Was it compensated or pro bono? Did you serve as an ex officio, yes or no? And briefly explain. This actually will let you go up further than 30 words, even though it describes that. And what was the starting date and the ending date of that activity? If this is something that you regularly do and there is no end, then just leave the end blank. But for every one of these categories, service is a very important activity for Dixie State University. It's just something that's been inherent to our culture right from the time that the institution was open. And so it's something we're very proud of, and we like to document and make sure that we know what services are being performed. So again, all of the categories are different in terms of the service to the particular organization or committee, but notice that the blanks are always going to be the same in terms of how you serve that. So that, in a nutshell, is basically an overview of your ePortfolio. Again, if you do not yet have an account, my email is bsmith@dixie.edu, and you can just send me your 8-digit faculty ID, your full legal name, your email username, the department to which you're assigned, and your rank and title at which you were hired. So once you have it, I will send you back the information and give you a temporary password, at which point the first time you log on, it will require you to set a password of your choosing, which is private to you. If you ever want to change your password in future, you have the option once you're logged on to your account. If you forget your password, it will be sent to you if you go to the home page and click on request your password. It will send an email to you, and that will, and then you'll be able to log on. If you contact the help desk, they will automatically forward that email or forward that request to me. So if you can remember to do so, if you have questions about where do I put that, I'm not sure about this, you can certainly send me an email at bsmith@dixie.edu and ask those questions. And if I can't find the answer, then we will find someone that does know the answer. Welcome to Dixie State University. I think you'll find, as I have, that it is a great place to be.